It's now. We are now live with James and Loki and Brian
Yeah, hey
together.
Loki.
Together. Here we are.
Yep.
Brought the
Well,
boss
good.
out of the break room. He's back from Kosovo. His reporting was, of course, masterful.
Yeah, he's good on assignment.
Yeah,
He's not
yeah.
always here.
So, I don't know if there's anything you wanted to talk about, but there is something I wanted to talk about, which
All
is
right.
the international case for the cyber cab. I have new concerns about its sheer scale of dominance outside the US.
All
In
right.
the US, in the US, it will, of course, likely dominate. If it comes out anytime in the next year or two, uh, I believe the cost advantage is eye-watering. Because if you're starting with a car that costs, say, $70,000 less than the competition, it's going to make your cost per mile a good dollar a mile cheaper over a realistic life of the vehicle.
Yeah.
So it's going to be tricky to keep up with that. Um, Outside the US, however, companies specifically in China are not slowing down on their autonomous ambitions, um, nor their electric ambitions, though hybrids are becoming more popular in China because it's easier to understand and not everyone has home charging. Uh, there's a new Xiaopeng vehicle, a minivan, that has a combined gas and electric range of 1,000 miles. If that doesn't shut up the haters, I don't know what will. Uh, and I don't know what will because we've tried everything short of duct tape. But if a Chinese company gets their version of a robotaxi, their technology, not the vehicle itself, but the technology, to a place where they're ready to widespread deploy it in a market outside of China, they can make that car for $10,000 because they are using the same technology as Tesla. They're using gigacastings. They're using structural batteries. They're not yet using unboxed, but they don't need to. I was in the first car I was in was what was it? A Hongqi, and it's a fine car. It's like it's got good leg room. It's got nice, comfortable seats and upholstery. It's got a 10-inch screen instead of a 14, 15, but it's got all the smart features. It's got microphones on throughout the car. So if you want to use their voice assistant, if you're in the back seat, you can say, turn on my seat warmer, and it'll know which seat. It'll turn on the correct one. That's just a feature that's included in this, a $23,000 all electric car.
Yeah.
So if they were going to go bare bones on it, which you would for taxis, especially in developing markets, 8 to 10,000 before import fees, even with steep ones, they're going to have a cost advantage over Tesla.
Yeah,
Is
that's true.
the
Normally we think
Yeah.
about the Chinese automakers having a barrier that's insurmountable to sell in the US. But
Mhm.
in this case, there's a lot of pride in the legacy automakers. If you go to Germany, they think the way that they've been doing it is the best way to do things, and they don't want to copy Tesla. That's not what they're interested in doing. China, automakers are all new, just looking for the best way to do stuff. Hey, let's go copy the best, take their technology, do what they do. And because the cost structure is so much more favorable in China for labor and for part suppliers, you can just make the vehicles for a lot less marginal cost of production per vehicle.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's a point that I haven't heard anybody else make before. You are delivering on your channel's promise to bring insights
Yeah.
about
Mm.
the EV market.
Now the question is, how do I present that in to the public in a way that won't cause mass rebellion? Because I can see people getting annoyed by me saying that this uncomfortable reality that there the whole world is not the cybercab's oyster. I think that the US certainly is, North America maybe as well, but if when you get to any market that doesn't have an interest in protecting one brand over another, look at Australia, they don't have domestic auto manufacturing anymore, so the
Yeah.
imports are tariffed roughly equally, and China is picking up a lot of steam there because their cars are just plain cheaper,
Yeah.
certainly cheaper than the Europeans.
Yeah. If you don't put 100% tariff on them,
Yes,
yeah.
and even at 100%, I mean, some of those Chinese cars are still almost competitive.
Yeah.
Now, of course, you have to deal with the shipping cost and the dealer markup and all the logistics here. And when you said that there's a labor cost advantage in China, that also is part of the supply advantage. Is the labor that makes the blinkers and the brake pads is also more affordable.
Yeah. It works the whole way up the supply chain.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Pretty much until you get to the commodities. At that point, it's I assume commodity pricing. Um, it's it's an insurmountable lead. One thing I
Yeah,
will
but
tell
I
you
mean,
from
for like rare
yeah,
earth metals that are found almost exclusively in China, they're getting them at
mhm,
favorable rates versus what you would have to pay to get them exported to you from China, right?
for sure. On those parts, yes, for sure. Uh, the factories, I've toured a factory in China now, the Xiaopeng factory. I just got back from China. Xiaopeng invited me out for their event. It went really well. I got to meet with engineers. I got to tour the factory. I got to ask questions about what machines are doing. And it is still a linear traditional assembly line like you would see at Ford or GM. They don't utilize cubic space the way Tesla does. And
Yeah.
Tesla will be the first to tell you the cubic space is sometimes more of a curse than a blessing. It's very good at optimizing when space is tight, but if you have the space, please go linear. Um,
Well,
it
it makes sense that you would build a four-story factory and build the battery cells on the top floor and then roll them downhill to the battery packing section and then slide
yes,
those downhill to the assembly line.
yes.
That all sounds good in theory, but I'm sure there's a lot of headaches involved in making it happen that way. Also, I heard that they were not enthusiastic about answering your questions about the factory's power utilization. Huh?
So it was fun. I don't remember where it was that I said it, but what I did was I said, uh, it wasn't the factory. It was I was asking the product manager for autonomy. I said, "So how much inference do you have?" And he said, "I definitely can't answer that. I can't
Yeah,
answer that." So a half hour later, I said, "So, uh, how much power does that facility consume?" And
yeah.
the PR rep in the back seat was like, "Nope, nope, nope. I see what you're doing, and no."
None of them
Uh,
want to get in trouble.
Right, because I could do the math on that. So then the third one, about an hour after that, I said, "What's the square footage of your compute space?" And they're like, "Still no. We're not giving
Yeah.
any of the." I'm like, "Okay.
No
Hey,
matter how cleverly you try to fish for information, we're not giving it to you, Brian.
yeah, hey, 3 ways. You never know." Because they might be like, "Oh, it's a, 6,000,000 square foot." I mean, I don't know. It was worth a try.
Yeah, maybe one of
Uh,
those questions they would have already published and
mhm,
said, well, we've admitted to the local paper that this number, and then you would have
yeah,
something.
yeah.
Mm.
I asked, Xiaopeng because they gave me 2 hours in the car of just cruising around town. They put in this big loop that was designed to cover as many edge cases as possible, construction zones, roundabouts, which they don't have many of in China, um, real narrow streets, weird U-turns, parts of town that hadn't been modernized to see to just push the limits. And one person said, "Be careful, they might be remotely operating it just to give you a good show." And I
Yeah.
said, "The failures that I saw would indicate otherwise." Because it did the kind of goofy nonsense that I would experience on version 11, where one example
Yeah.
is it was making a U-turn. It's a divided road where, I don't know, 100 meters from the intersection, but there's a little U-turn you can do right here. It got partway through it, started stuttering, almost hit the concrete. And then when it finally cleared it, tried to go the wrong way. It's
No.
like a human would not have made that mistake, but I feel like version 11 would have, could
All
have.
right, but there was a safety driver who
Yeah.
intervened. Okay.
Yes. And their interventions are different. If you grab the wheel, it doesn't kick you out. It just takes it as feedback,
All right. They're
as
just adding it
training
to
data.
the
Uh-huh.
computer's
Uh-huh.
recommendation.
Yes. If you want to take, if you tap the brake, it'll kick it out, or if you disengage it, it'll kick it out. But just like if you want to do a lane change and it doesn't want to, you can just change lanes and then let go.
Yeah.
So just a
That's how
different
a lot of
philosophy.
people assumed it was working in Teslas on autopilot and then got into a
Mhm.
wreck when they didn't know they
Oh,
had disengaged it, right?
oh,
Yeah.
I can see that happening. That would make sense. So yeah, it's, uh, but what I asked them is, how are you going to catch up? How are you going to catch up on data to the competition? And he said, well, I don't think we have to catch up because we have more in China. We have a lot of training data. They had about 400,000 cars that have been gathering data for maybe 600,000 cars that had the correct sensors to gather the data over the past couple of years. And BYD only started putting God's eye on everything less than a year ago. I still think BYD has the data advantage. The other one was the Huawei. They do not have as much data as Xiaopeng probably does. And Tesla doesn't have as much. But I would argue, I don't know how much training data Tesla has unique to China. And we know they're just now building the big data center for it. They believe they're in the lead. And you can't really compare the Chinese cars to the US cars. He said FSD in China is not running the same software as it is in the US. It's running something a little different. I think Tesla in the US is probably better than China. And I said, well, why don't you take a Xiaopeng to California? You have offices there. He said, because it's not trained on the US. It would drive like a Chinese tourist um, at best. So,
Did they
and
drive you down the bumpy alley with the giant potholes that that delivery van was having trouble with?
it wasn't having trouble. It was having fun.
It was
That was a great video.
hopping and skipping down the alley.
I reposted that one with good news. Your delivery of eggs has arrived. But something
I
like
saw that
that.
one and gave it a like. It'll be one of my
Oh, good.
gems of the week
Oh,
next
good.
week. Yeah.
Yeah. I was debating between that and China, but I thought it'd be confusing. Uh, but
Oh, right. Yeah.
yeah,
Porcelain. Sure.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Uh, yeah. So
Yeah.
the Chinese
Wh-
companies are going full steam.
Excellent. Yeah, we would expect nothing less from them. Everybody is trying to catch up to Tesla. I had a post earlier in the week to let people cool their jets over the NVIDIA Alpha Mayo news. I think even before Elon had replied saying, "Hey, I'm not losing any sleep over this." I was like, guys, you know how many companies there are who can show you a half-hour video of a car trying to drive itself and doing so without interventions? Like a
Yes.
lot. And those videos have been getting recorded for many years now. That doesn't tell you they've solved more than the first two nines.
Right. Yes. And I believe any good research team could solve the first two nines in well under a year, I believe.
Yeah, there were college students solving self-driving to the first nine like 10 years ago, 15 years ago at Stanford, right?
Yes.
So,
Well,
yeah,
George Hotz got the first nine in months by himself.
by himself, team of
I
one.
team of
Yeah,
one. I don't think I think he might have still been a teenager. But
uh-huh.
he's also an
Crazy
exception.
smart. Yeah,
Crazy smart.
yeah,
I'd read that uh he decided he was going to learn chess and he got to like a rank of 1600 or something, was like, this is boring, and just stopped. It's like,
yeah.
okay, that's okay. Uh
That doesn't surprise me about George Hotz. You can tell he's got a lot of processing power under
yeah.
the dome.
Yeah. Yeah. Uh, so yeah, you follow Luca Greco, you know that everybody in the world is moving to gigacastings. Some companies more aggressively than others. A number of companies have presses that are far larger than Tesla's 9,000 ton press that is used for the rear of the Cybertruck. There are it works. It's a good system. It's easy to
Yeah.
understand, and that's something you don't need to reinvent the wheel. Um, you can just do it. I had a chance to talk with Jake, who is uh, a member on X, so he may see this. Jake was a robotics engineer at Faraday Future. I did have him look at some of the footage that I got from the factory to ask, Xiaopeng doing anything different, like crazy with these robots? And he's like, "Is this a trick question? Because I don't see anything." I'm like, "Okay, good, good, good." Not a trick question. I don't know what I'm looking at. That's why I'm
Sure,
asking you.
yeah. If you don't have a lot of training on your neural net to know what's going on in the factory, you wouldn't see things that would be obvious to somebody who's worked in that environment for enough. What is it? 10,000 hours to be an expert, according to Malcolm Gladwell.
I think that I've often wondered how accurate that number is, but it certainly feels right to me. I think if you do something, uh, 9 to 5 for 5 years, that's about right. Um,
Yeah, it doesn't feel too right or too wrong. It's in that grayish zone
yeah,
of correctability,
uh,
correctness,
of,
correcticism.
yeah, that's a lot of his work. Uh, it all sounds good.
That
So
doesn't sound wrong. We'll go with
it
that.
doesn't sound
Yeah.
wrong. By the way, for folks looking and seeing only 2 comments showing up on the screen, it's because there's this weird it's weird. I gotta keep dialing
Oh,
this in because I'm trying to do a members only, thing, uh, but yeah, so here's, one set of comments, and here's the other set of comments, because and StreamYard doesn't allow me to post to Twitter for members only, so I have to put just a link. And then I've got this fourth method, which is a mailer, and I forgot to send it out today, so 14
oh,
people didn't get notified. Apologies to the 14 who are probably going to find this later, hopefully. I just have to it's a
yeah.
work in
So,
progress.
did you just fly back from China and boy, are your arms tired?
I am exhausted, dude. It
Yeah.
was 53 hours in transit, and I was on the ground for 60 hours.
Ugh. You're counting 53 there and back. That's the
And
round
back.
trip
Mhm.
total.
That's the
Yeah.
round trip total
Ouch.
for
So
yeah.
did they fly you over like basically the North Pole to get to China from the Pacific Northwest?
So because it was a last minute flight, it was Portland to
Oh,
Los Angeles back over Portland, over the pole, past
yeah,
Japan
yeah,
to South China. So
yeah.
the LA to Guangzhou was 15 and a half hours, just for that stretch. So
Yeah. So somebody here in Florida flew to China and their plane stopped off in Chicago. And I was like, Chicago? Oh, Chicago is right on the way to China from Florida. You wouldn't think of it, but
yeah,
you're going to go basically over the North Pole if you want to fly from Florida to China. That's the
from
shortest path.
Seattle, most of my flights in my life have been out of SeaTac, and from Seattle, just about everywhere you go around the world goes over the North Pole because we're all in
Yeah.
the northern hemisphere. All the places I've gone, so it's
Yeah.
and it's fun to look at. Uh, there's websites where you can drag countries over other countries to see how distorted your view of it is based on the Mercator
Yeah.
layout.
Yeah.
So that's uh, yeah.
I
Uh,
enjoy
Carl from
those.
Carl from Tadiddle is in the house. Happy Sunday to you, Carl. Welcome. And of course, we've got a lot of other folks here. This one, someone asked if I was in China today. I got back from China yesterday. Yeah, love to see what Mercedes comes up with. Radar, LiDAR. Also, Xiaopeng is one of the companies in China that has dropped LiDAR. They had it on their early models, and what they found was it made it so that their model would not scale. So
Yeah.
they couldn't. keep growing.
Great. Now go tell Gary Black. It's telling me Waymo has this huge advantage over Tesla because of their LiDAR. They have sensor redundancy, so that makes them better. They've got totally independent systems. Well, what about sensor confusion? What about when your totally separate systems have totally different answers to the question, hey, what's
Right.
going on in front of me? Is that dangerous or not? One of your systems says it is, one of your systems says it's not. You got to decide at that point which one of the systems you believe. Okay, well, why not just always use that system then?
And you don't have time. If you give me infinite time to solve this problem, I will get you the right I will tell you which sensor's right, but we don't have time. It has to be instinctive. It has to be that
Well,
fast.
here's what my instincts are telling me. If I'm in a car that I'm looking out the driver's seat of at the road in front of me, and I have a LiDAR sensor telling me it's dangerous, you shouldn't proceed, but my eyeballs are looking in front of me and there's no danger there, I'm going to trust my own eyesight and say, hey, there isn't danger. The LiDAR is wrong, and go.
Yes.
So if vision is enough for us, how is it not enough for better than human? When you've got a computer that doesn't fall victim to any of the top 5 reasons why human beings are involved in fatality collisions. The computer will never get drunk. It will never get fatigued. It will never get distracted. It will never text while it's driving. It will never forget to wear its seatbelt. That's one of the ones on the list.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Well, I've had people saying, well, as if this becomes solved, then they're probably going to make it mandatory. And I said, look, a lot of stuff is mandatory that didn't used to be. Backup cameras are mandatory. Seat belts are mandatory. And somebody said, well, I don't agree with that either. Why should I have to wear a seatbelt? And I said, because you're a 180-pound projectile. If you're in
Yeah.
the back seat and we crash, you're going to kill me.
Yeah. Yeah. When the vehicle comes to a sudden stop, you want to come to a gradual stop as the
It would be
person
nice.
inside the vehicle, not as you don't want the brick wall stop. People died in car collisions all the time in the 40s because they were building cars out of rigid materials. There were no crumple zones in a 1928 Duesenberg, right? If you hit a
Right.
brick wall, the whole car would stop instantly, and your body wouldn't.
Well, they just transferred the crumple to you.
Yeah, you are
Uh,
the crumple zone. If you're in a
yeah.
vehicle that doesn't have a crumple zone, the crumple zone is you. That's why you don't ride on the Kawasaki Ninja motorcycle. It doesn't have a crumple zone. Your head is basically a foot above the front tire.
Mhm. Mhm.
That's not where you want to be in a high speed collision.
It's not ideal, I'll give you that.
Yeah.
Uh, it's fun when you go to an auto museum, you look at how big some of those 1920s cars were, uh, and how incredibly underpowered. I mean, we're talking 30 horsepower for something that's bigger than anything I've ever owned, including trucks.
Uh,
Uh,
oh, but
but they're
well,
big.
back then the roads were so poorly paved. They were all like that alley in China. You didn't want to be going any faster than 25 miles
No,
per hour.
no. Rosh came from Nepal down to Guangzhou to help me out with the trip, and we're on the highway just going back to the airport, and he's looking at the speedometer and he's like, we are going 100 kilometers an hour. Because Brian, your whole time in Nepal, two weeks in Nepal, did you ever get anywhere where you hit 100? I'm like, no, definitely not. And then, of course, I had to tell him that when I go down to Portland for the day, I'm going a good 120, 130, 75, 80 miles an hour. And he's like, that's crazy. I don't understand. They don't have side airbags on any car I saw in uh, in Nepal. I said, boy, that's one way to cut costs. He goes, you don't need them. You don't need them. Nobody will ever T-bone you at over 10 miles an hour because the
Oh
roads are
yeah,
just too
yeah.
complicated. Yeah. We don't have
Interesting. And
big.
there's not so much traffic all over Nepal that you're constantly going through intersections.
Well, what you have in Kathmandu is a degree of traffic that means you're not moving. You're really just kind of parked, and the roads are so narrow, and
Uh,
and every driver is extremely attentive,
yeah.
extremely unwaveringly focused.
Because
Or
the roads are so unsafe, it'll be your last trip if you're not paying
yes,
attention.
yes, you do not see people texting and driving. You
Yeah.
Because you will kill someone, maybe yourself. Uh, and also, just even if it's the middle of the night, the roads are in such poor condition from the climate because it's freezing half the year that you don't drive straight. You everybody drives zigzags to dodge heaves and potholes, and I mean the roads are in terrible condition
Uh,
because no matter how good you make them, it's going to be like that again next year. And they're always working on it. It's not like they're not trying. It's just an insurmountable task for their budget. Ah,
right.
yeah. So I'm gonna pull the comments back up here because
Okay.
why not? What are we doing here? It's very casual. Traveling Mo says we need to find Brian a South American country to visit for us. Uh, you know, Simon from Tesla Light Show suggested Colombia. He has uh, roots there. His wife is from Colombia. He is in Colombia regularly. He actually did the light show for Tesla's grand introduction to the market. Tesla actually asked him to make that, which is really cool. Um, yeah, I would need anywhere I go. I just need ground support because I'm not going anywhere. I might go to a Spanish speaking country without ground support, but probably still not because I need someone to find me the people, find me the good contacts, the interesting stories. And that's something I was able to do in Nepal because my editor is from Kathmandu. And, you know, on this trip to China, Xiaopeng was very interested in keeping me very busy. At dinner with the product manager, he said, "Wow, why is your trip so short?" And in front of the PR rep Allison, I said, "Oh, because she wants me to be so here such a short time and so busy that I can't look at your competition." And she goes, "That is actually why." And
Uh,
yeah, I just said, just so you know, I will be going to look at the YL. I'm not coming all this way and not doing that. My viewers would be as angry as I would. She's like, I understand. So, uh, so yeah. And then on this set of comments, let's see. Howdy, Solo XAGI. Mm-hmm. Two, Slower Cuber says two of my favorites. Uh, that's because he's got good taste. I met him in, I think, only Florida and Chattanooga. Pretty sure. No, Michigan. That's right. I don't remember. You weren't in Florida. Anyway, met him a few times now. Let's see there. Yeah, Mercedes supervised in 2026, if you believe them. Mercedes, I get it, but Ford is now announcing they're going to be in this. Did you see that? Oh,
I
Ford's
didn't.
announced. Oh yeah, Ford's announced. We're
It,
doing it. We're gonna be driverless too, guys. Just
it's so cheap to announce that you're going to be driverless later. Anyone can
mhm,
do it. That's how cheap it is. It's so cheap. Anyone could do it. I could do it. I'm going to be
yes,
driverless later this year in the car that I'm building in my garage.
mhm,
That's how cheap talk is.
yeah. And by the way, another thing I determined, I was able to ask this. I said, "Hey, how much do you charge, Xiaopeng, for your driverless systems, and how does that compare to your competitors?" Uh, Tesla and Huawei are the only ones who have a paid tier. Everyone else gives it away. So that's another
Hmm.
interesting problem.
Is it
I mean,
another
it's
case of you get what you pay for?
for many of them, but the Xiaomi system works pretty well and they give it away. And Huawei has two or three free levels, and it's only the highest level one that you pay for, and it's only like $30 a month. Uh, where Tesla is, you know, the most expensive option, which is fine right now while it's still the best option. And it is far and away the best option. Uh,
Some of the video I've seen of God's Eye making decisions in traffic, I would need to up the dose of my heart medication, I think.
Well, and that's one thing with the Xiaopeng was at a stoplight, it would come in right up on the bumper of the car in front of it, like to the point where on screen it's showing you how many centimeters remain.
Oh,
But that's
uh,
how they drive. That's how they drive.
okay.
So it's trained on humans. The driver's not freaking out. He's like, yeah, this is what it does. That's how we drive. I'm like, "Ah, I've never sat in the front seat before. I'll get used to it. I'll get used to it.
Oof.
Um, yeah, if it was me behind the wheel, I'd have been freaking out the whole time. But and my conclusion was I would never choose to drive in China, but if I had this system, I know I could because you're just supervising. And it'll be better before it's released because I saw, the pre-release beta. And I got to see it before Top Gear.
Oh, nice. All
Yeah,
right.
they genuinely
Scoop.
said you are getting the world's first look at it. I'm like, "Oh."
Wow.
Yeah, that was very cool. Um, but yeah, Ford's gonna do all kinds of cool stuff eventually someday. I look forward to seeing how large the write down is in 3 years.
Ugh.
Uh,
Just
yeah,
like their EV factory, they had to write off those quitters.
that
You
really
you lose a
disappointed
few
me.
$1 billion and you're quitting right away. Just
Yeah,
come on, guys.
yeah.
Go big or go home.
Well, we'll go home. I appreciate
They
giving
chose
us
to
the
go home, I
opportunity
guess. Yeah.
to go home because
They
that's where
they
we
were
were going
tired of
anyway.
going big. Yeah. That's as big as they wanted to go, and then they went home.
Mhm. So Solo XAGI, it was not that your time zone was wrong. It was that I didn't schedule it. I just posted it. And so whenever you saw it, it said it's going live any second. And that was my fault. I'm the one who goofed that. Apologies all around. Did you find someone to take you to the Tesla diner? I did. There's a person on X by the name of Futurama King, and he picked me up at the airport. And he's a small account, but I just enjoy it. And I can't see who your followers are. Can I? I don't think we can see who each other's followers are.
Yeah, we
But
can. You can
oh,
see
can we?
some. You can't see the entire list anymore. You used to be able to see everybody. Now
Oh, I
you
see.
get a sampling.
I see. Well, he has a lot of really good followers. A lot of really good accounts follow him.
Yeah, I
Anyway,
might
he
be
took me to the
following that
diner.
account. He's got a lot of good posts. I've seen some gems from Futurama King before.
And I was recognized at the diner, which is kind of cheating because if I'm going to be recognized in any restaurant, that is the one. Um,
Yeah.
and I was like, it was really great to meet you. And he's like, we actually met at the bodega last month. I'm like, well, I can't remember everybody.
The boring bodega.
Yeah, when I was
Yeah.
at
All
the
right.
after party for the shareholder meeting.
Yes, we both follow Futurama King,
Yeah.
and other cool people do as well. He's only got 27, 16 followers. He needs more.
Yeah.
Go follow Futurama King on X, everybody.
Yeah, and that's what he said is I don't have many followers, but I have good followers. Uh, yeah, so he picked me up from the airport and then because I had a 12-hour layover on the way back, and then he took me to my buddy Jake's the restaurant the bar he was DJing at in Hermosa Beach, and I, hung out with him until we shut it down and all that. So it's good times. I've been thinking about how they get the cycle time so low for Cybercab. I think they parallelize final assembly, use humans to train them, then replace with Optimus. So Optimus, I think, is down the road. Down the road, it'll come eventually. I don't know. No one knows outside the company what its strengths and weaknesses are. There are tasks for which even a very good robot will not be well suited. Whether someone said, "Oh, can the robot drive a car? Like literally get in and drive it?" I said, "I don't know how good it does hand over hand turning. I don't know if that's a thing robots can do. They will come when it's necessary. The speed of a human isn't going to be the limiting factor. Obviously, the limiting factor is Jordan Giesecke, but this limiting factor, I know I can't help it. I just love
Representing our
watching.
Rebellionaire crew.
There you go.
Yeah.
There you go. I just love that whenever there's Elon does an event, he does say it's the only channel he gives a shout out to every time unintentionally.
Yeah, he
Yeah,
says the limiting factor. He does
he
not
does.
say I cannot underscore enough. He says I
He
cannot
doesn't.
emphasize enough.
Bastard. How dare you, sir?
If there were one thing I could change about Elon's speech patterns, that would definitely be it. Yeah.
That would be it. That would be a good
Free
one.
publicity for me. If only he could just change that synonym.
Yes. One thing I asked at the Nevada factory was when I saw the Nevada factory, I didn't get to see the Panasonic side, just the Tesla side. Nobody gets to see the Panasonic side. It's not our side. Batteries, cells come through the wall basically, and they just appear. They just spawn.
They come down a dumbwaiter. Yeah.
Yeah. And I don't know where no one knows. It's a mystery. They had 3 different lines, and really 4, but 3 in philosophy. They have the old kind of hand assembled line. It's not hand assembled at all, but it's the old line. They've got the medium line, which is the workhorse, and then they've got the 2 fast lines. And we're not going to show you the 2 fast lines. We're barely going to show you any of the medium line, but we'll show you the old slow one. Too much secret sauce on the ultra fast. I go, why on earth would you keep a medium and a slow line when you've got 2 fast lines? They said, because sometimes we break them.
Yeah.
And we need to keep moving no matter what. And the hand-built line, is what we use also for all the prototypes, of which there are many, is what we use for the bespoke batteries for the Cybercab and all the tests of it, and all the subsequent. So we do need the hand line.
It's never a bad idea to have backup plans, especially when there are people relying on the output from your factory. So, contingency plans are good to have.
And that led me to the question, how much backup do you have? Like how many hours, minutes, days of parts if this one thing, because they also do the motors there. If the motor breaks, if the motor line, one of the winder, whatever. And he said, kinda, the more the merrier. But we need to have at least days stockpiled. At least. It's not going to go bad. It's not going to expire, but we do need it.
Business professors love to talk about just-in-time inventory, and that's definitely the epitome of efficiency in a factory or warehousing operation. But it's not a good practice when stuff goes wrong in the real world, which is idiosyncratic and messy.
It's what we learned with COVID. Just-in-time is what really came back to bite us all in the ass.
That's how you get a toilet paper shortage. If you want to know how to get a toilet paper shortage, just-in-time inventory management processes are how. It wasn't just in time when everybody went to buy toilet paper on the same day.
Yeah. Well, and you've seen it with gas in Florida when a hurricane comes. There is none because everyone filled their tanks.
There is one, and it's on. It's at the Little Lake Bryan area of Lake Buena Vista, just east of Lake Buena Vista. If you know the South Orlando, Florida area, there's a gas station that always charges $6 or $7 per gallon for gasoline, and you may wonder how could they possibly be in business. And it's because there's enough foreign tourists who don't look at what the price is that they just run their card and figure, I don't know, that's what people pay for gas here. They still have gas because people don't want it that badly that they would pay $6 or $7 a gallon for it. So if you need gas, you can still go there.
And it might be close to one of the rental returns. And it's not just that they have to convert
they do that by airports
liters
sometimes.
Because
you don't have time. You have to catch your flight. So this is the only gas station that will work, or else I have to pay the rental car company an even larger fee.
It might not be larger than that though. That's a lot. But yeah, they because you have to convert the dollars to whatever your currency is and the gallons to liters. I can see making that mistake in a foreign country.
Well, and if you're from Europe, that's what you're used to paying for gas anyhow. If
Oh,
you convert the liters to
yeah.
gallons,
Oh yeah.
so you're like, yeah,
Six
that's a
bucks.
normal price.
I pay $8 a gallon back home.
Uh huh.
That's a good point.
Yeah.
That's a good point. There is one bit of secret sauce that I can't share from Nevada. It because the rule that the tour guide gave me was if you can find anything published that says what you learned here, you can say it. I'm like, that's a good rule. Uh and I won't tell you the answer, but the question is how do you attach the to the stator inside the electric motor, the shaft that comes out of it. How do you attach it? Because it's not welded. You can't weld it. So
Crazy glue would be my only guess.
uh it's 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 wild. Let's see.
That's
Big
that's your
question.
homework assignment. Everybody in the comments, go try and figure out what
It's
uh, what they use for adhesive.
they are going to do the same with Optimus production. Start with humans in final assembly and replace them with Optimus. Yeah, that's how you make baby Optimi. Uh, absolutely. And are they already working? I hope so in some capacity. Yeah, bring on the sauce. And a couple comments over here. Traveling Mo picking up the slack. Uh, announcement and press releases are all just jokes on company letterhead. Yeah, yeah. I hear Panasonic has a really hard time keeping employees. Too tedious. I bet they get bots on the line early. So I was one of those people who said we are not going to, pick and place. Uh, I don't get it. It's not that big of a task for robots. And then I toured several factories and I realized this is still big. You still need the humans to grab the stuff and wheel it up to the real robot, the single purpose robot. And it is a nonstop job. And uh, in Nevada, the day I was there, they had onboarding. It was a room with 160 new employees in it. They do this every
Wow.
week. Every
Wow.
week. So Panasonic, I believe, is struggling to keep employees because the job market is not that big and the head count is 20,000. Uh,
Oof.
20,000 in not a city is a lot of people. And
Yeah.
it's kind of miserable getting in and out because the roads were never meant for the kind of development that's out there. And they're working on it, but it's going to take forever.
Yeah.
So it's complicated. And this pick and place would be perfect for Optimus because a domestic Optimus needs to do 20 million tasks and a pick and place Optimus needs to do 20. Uh, and the best part is I don't have to radio over or walk over to say, get me part 26285. I just think it and the other Optimus grabs it because he's closer. And that's where the big AI comes in is managing the hive. So
Yeah.
there's a lot of opportunities there. I love it.
People think that these robots, these humanoid robots, are going to take over all the work being done in factories or warehouses, sorting facilities or whatever. And if you've seen the automation in sorting facilities, it's extremely rudimentary. It's like
Yeah.
conveyor belts, and then like a piece of metal, like a sheet of metal, will just slide across the line to divert something onto a different chute to slide down to where it goes, and that's fine. That accomplishes the task. Check the box. You didn't need a human being, or you didn't need a human being shaped robot with a robot arm to swat that package down that chute. The piece of metal is fine. You just use a blade of metal and it's done. Easy, like a flipper in a pinball machine, right? Just that
Yeah.
easy, done.
And I don't know if you've seen, I mean, I love to watch things like How It's Made. I haven't watched one in a while, but there's so much fun seeing how they do quality control for unripe tomatoes. They literally just launch them over this little gap and flippers come down and smack the green ones. And you're like, it's in super slow motion. You're like, holy shit, that works. A
Yeah.
company I worked for had done installed the robots at Tim's Cascade potato chips, and they had the same launcher, but it used puffs of air to blow out the overcooked ones.
If you like the launcher, I went to a recycling facility that sorts aluminum. Did you know there's a rare earth metal that will repel aluminum? So they had a
No,
chute launcher, and it runs right by a wall of this metal, and the metal repels the aluminum into the aluminum only area, and everything else just shoots to where it goes.
that's I I will look that up because that's cool.
Super simple and easy. Yeah.
Um, at Redwood, one of the things that they were explaining is how they're trying to close the loop all the way. Already, they don't the water. I think they don't expel any wastewater. They have a use for all of it. But one of the steps that they do, the byproduct is sulfuric acid, which conveniently they need for a different part of the process.
Nice.
There you go. Where
Beautiful.
I would, where else that's a lot of sulfuric acid to be ordering. We don't have to. And
What a
the
serendipitous output from your unintended process to just
yes,
have, hey, look at this. This is the stuff we've been buying, and here it is. We just made it accidentally. That's great.
um, I could just imagine a legacy company paying one guy to get rid of it while buying it from a different guy.
Yes.
Another one I said is, how do you de-energize completely the batteries before they go in the shredder? And what? Any guess?
From JB Straubel on your tour, I
Yeah,
forget what he said. It's dangerous, right? It happens in a closed box. You can't observe it happening.
that is all true. They
All right.
don't de-energize it. The shredding is part of the kiln process.
All right.
And
So,
they can regulate the temperature just by controlling how much air goes
yeah,
in, basically. It is a pyrolytic process
you just
where
melt
the
them down no matter what their state of charge is.
right, and it
Yeah.
is part of the heat. It's really clever how they do it.
Yeah.
So yeah, for Optimus, I'm excited. For obviously for all of this stuff, I'm excited. Um,
The thing that
James,
surprised me the most about
yes,
that tour with JB Straubel was that it's all outdoors. And then once you see it, you're like, well, yeah, it would all be outdoors. That's the safest place to store a whole bunch of battery packs that might catch fire. You would want them to be outdoors if they do. So just put them outdoors.
right.
They're going to be fine. It's the
Do you
desert.
want it in
Yeah.
a closed? Yeah. Uh,
Yeah.
and they've got hundreds of cameras, thermal cameras, and it's all AI managed. It's always looking for any kind of heat signatures, and they've got 5 stages of remediation, with the first one being, it's looking a little warm, dunk it. And they
Oh,
just grab the whole pallet, dunk it.
yeah.
Uh,
Well, that'll
that
do
does the
it.
trick. Yeah, and
That's one of the fail safes in nuclear reactors is they just keep 100,000 gallons of cold water nearby,
hmm,
just in case you need to cut the rope and scram. You can release all that cold water and stop the reaction.
huh, huh, that makes
Yeah.
sense. Yeah, they were saying that when they first put in the AI system to look for heat, they kept getting false positives. They're like, "What was that?" And they finally determined it was ground squirrels. Maybe not ground
Oh,
squirrels, but whatever the small rodentia of the region
little
is.
little mammal life forms running
Yeah,
around. Yeah.
little heat signatures doing their thing. And yeah, it does make sense. Just leave it all outside. They do some really clever stuff there. I, of course, thank you to everybody who is part of sending me on these adventures and making this all possible because, uh, awesome.
And it gives you
And I
cool
pre
stories you can tell from a firsthand perspective. You can say, I was
Yeah,
there and I talked to them, and that's how I know.
yeah. Well, one guy, it was bizarre. I got a comment about a week ago. A guy said, "Boy, all the name dropping gets really old," and I'm like, of the names I know that are worthy of dropping, I've never dropped any of them because it wouldn't make sense. But I'm not like bringing up Sandy Monroe and JB because I want you to think I'm cool. It's because I want you to know I'm not making stuff up. This
Yeah,
isn't just off the dome. This is
yeah.
from the
JB
source.
understands that company from top to bottom because it's his company that he founded and runs. So
Yeah.
that's how he knows what's going on.
Yeah. And if I mention that, it's because I want you to know that I actually did the legwork. And going to all these places allows me to form an understanding that I was not able to get no matter how much research I did, because it is different being there. The one they did, there was a neat part of the factory tour at Xiaopeng where when they put the sunroof on the large, it's kind of like an MPV, like a small minivan. The roof glass is a very big piece, but it doesn't have a like a gasket. They just do the expanding adhesive kind of thing. And how do you make it so that it is exactly correct when we're talking about stamped steel that is never the same twice? And the answer is one robot picks up the piece, the other robot laser scans what it's about to go onto while it's applying the exact right amount of the material to the actual glass that it's
Oh,
so when it goes on, there's no overspill and there's
oh,
no
that's
underage.
smart. You take
Yeah,
the adhesive and you make it the cushioning between the two large pieces,
yeah. And it's
fill in all
and
the
the
gaps.
yeah, and they're literally laser measuring it to see how much do we need anyway on this exact car. And of course, they've got, the digital twins so they can do limited scope but effective recalls. They're doing all that stuff. They've got a body out there with all the different pieces color coded so you can see what they're building. And their rear casting it goes really far forward and really high up because it's just a huge casting. I don't know enough about the economics of those machines to know, but they were rolling off. It was the P7 Plus. It was their 100,000th rolled off the line. Apparently, that's I don't remember what the cutoff is, but it's 100,000 is probably the minimum you can make of something with a mega casting and a giga casting, and it be cost effective. So that's why Tesla's never done it with the SNX. They just don't make enough.
Oh, right. Yeah. You got a break even point to pay off your capital investment in buying the equipment in the first place to do the work.
Yeah.
It doesn't make sense to do on lucid volume.
Here's a question I have for you.
Yeah.
When you see all the Cybercab castings piling up, does that tell you that production is starting in April, is imminent?
I mean, it's a better sign than if they weren't seeing any castings. I don't know.
Mm,
Trying to get consistency out of that machine first before they need the pieces to be able to scale the production would be one of my
mm.
considerations. Where were you going with that?
Just that. I think it's a bullish sign. I think the number they made is far too many for crash testing or validation. It tells me that at least that portion of the vehicle is design locked.
Yeah, you
And
wouldn't want to make 1,000 pieces of something that you might not need any of.
yeah, yeah. And I think that we've never seen them make castings more than 6 months in advance. Um, so I think I don't know, I think it's a good sign. All right, guys. Well, this one ran longer than usual because, we're having fun. What do we miss? What do we misunderstand? You know what you're doing. If you have more questions, leave them in the comments wherever this is posted. And as you all must know by now, I do read the comments. So thank you guys. Thank you, James. And we'll talk to you soon. Um,